I'm so glad you joined us for the second in our Stretch and Strengthen Yoga series, Building Strength to Rise with Ease with Sigrid Street. We're really glad to have you with us for this program today. We want you to know that for more than 60 years, AARP has been working to improve the lives and empower those 50 plus to live their best lives. Health and wellness is at the forefront of our work, and yoga is one way to keep your body and mind flexible and fit. So we're so happy you're with us today to do that. Now, if you have not done yoga before, please remember to check with your doctor before you start any new exercise regimen. That's really important for your health. And now, without further ado, I'm going to turn this class over to Sigrid, who will lead you through the second in this yoga series. Sigrid?
Thanks, Barney. Thanks to AARP for bringing us in to teach this stretch and strengthen series. So this class will be focusing on learning to or finding the strength to move up and down from a chair. So you can see it's something that we do all the time, but more importantly, getting up and down from the chair also means that ability to get up and down from the floor. And that translates into getting up and down from the floor, sometimes maybe to play with grandchildren or just finding your way back up to standing if you've gotten this low to the ground. The main focus for the class today is leg strength, because we need that, but more importantly, core strength to build that ability or find that ability to rise with ease from seated to standing and then back down. So with that, there's a few things that you might need. Blocks come in handy, and if you don't have blocks, don't you worry about it. Soup cans work great, vegetable cans, same thing, doesn't matter, but cans work great, something just to help you get up. If your knees are sensitive, bringing a blanket or something soft underneath your knees sometimes helps. Be sure you don't use it as a know where your feet are at, basically. And if you'd like to practice from a chair, feel free to do that. If you were not able to quite figure out the mechanics of that, we had we have another previous video where we have someone standing and someone doing practice from the chair. So go back to that and you are welcome to kind of follow along there and then work your way here. So welcome to class. My name is Sigrid and we'll be starting in a reclined position today. So coming down and onto your back, because why not, right? We'll start with a little nap, but most importantly, this movement from and finding our breath. That's really what finding the practice is about. So you have a couple of options. You can come reclined here with knees bent, leaving the head to the floor, letting the hands drift off to the side. If it feels good for you, you may also just extend those legs. Okay, depends on how your back feels. Knees bent usually feels better for the back. Make any little adjustments that you need to here. And you might hear the loud sound of my breath, but don't be scared by it, right? So from here, we'll let the hands, take the right hand to the chest, left hand to the low belly. We just want to feel where the breath is this afternoon or today. So from here, just take that first normal breath and notice the first spot that you feel it in your hands. Maybe you feel it in your belly, maybe you feel it in your chest, but just notice where you first start to feel your breath. And if you're not used to finding this big, deep breath, what you may notice is that you only feel it in one of your hands. So take another inhale. See if you can bring and let that right hand rise as you lift and bring the breath into the chest. And then finding that same depth of breath into the belly. And then open the mouth, release, belly releases, and chest softens back toward the floor. Inhale, feel the chest rise. Feel belly rise, expand. And then exhale, letting that low belly, bottom of the ribs release back to the mat again. And then chest releases as the breath comes out through the mouth. Inhale. Feeling that rise. And then exhale, release again. This time as you move into the breath, I want you to notice how the back of the ribs, maybe even the shoulder blades kind of press down and into the floor. So feeling this breath in more than one dimension, inhale, expanding. And then slow release, let go, exhale. Inhale again, feel the ribs, shoulder blades, back expand into the floor. And at the same time, notice that rise in the front of the chest. And release, let go, exhale. Inhale, drawing the breath in again. And then release, let go, and exhale. And just continue with that for 2 more breaths on your own. The reason we move into breath first is what it's kind of brings us into our body. Most of the time we live in a whole bunch of different places outside of our physical being. And this just helps draw us back into our physical body so we can start to practice and maybe let a few extra thoughts leave our brain and just be in this space here and now. Move into that last breath. Inhale. And then release, let go, exhale. If you had your eyes closed, kind of flutter the eyes open. We'll begin to pull the soles of the feet into the floor if they're not already there. Bending the knees, and then maybe doing a small adjustment through the low back, feeling the low back come flat to the floor, and then let the knees drift just side to side, finding a little movement through the hips here. You might notice also a little sway of the low back. And you should not feel pain when you're in this space. So if you go way over here and your eyebrows come together, then I encourage you to soften your face, only go as far as that allows, and then come over to the other side. So it can be just baby movements, or it can be a larger sweep side to side. And start to settle into the center. From here, we'll take this left leg, sweep it up to the sky, and then pull the toes down toward the forehead, kind of press the heel up toward the ceiling. Reach behind this left leg and then gently draw that shin toward the forehead. So movement might be here, or movement might be, I raised my leg and that's enough. You can also have a deep bend in the leg here, or extend and press the heel toward the sky. Some of you might even have extra long arms and you can reach your big toe. Okay. Now, from here, bend this left leg, slowly release your left foot to the floor again, and then make any micro adjustments that you need to find evenness through the hips. Settle into center, let this right leg rise up and toward the sky. And again, just noticing the difference from side to side. So maybe this side, it is that deep bend in the knee instead of that full extension. Feel that lift through the heel, pulling the toes toward the forehead. And then if there is more space and you can still keep that softness in the face and full deep breath, start to draw this right leg in toward the forehead. And again, if you can reach the toe, that's one place to be. This is also perfect. Pull that left heel or that right heel down toward the floor. From here, just make those micro adjustments, those soft twists side to side. All right. So one of the things we're doing is trying to find a way to get up and off of the floor. So this is a way that I found that works pretty easily, and it uses just kind of a slow motion to get there. So what we'll do is if you're not already, feet flat to the floor, knees bent. We'll take this right arm, can be left arm, makes no difference. And we'll just extend it up and overhead or out to the side. From here, start to roll over to that side toward the extended arm. And from here, pushing this left hand into the floor, start to press yourself up to seated. Hi. And then start to bring those legs underneath you. And we'll come up and into a tabletop. So tabletop is coming up into hands and knees here. So feeling the hips line up over the knees, or maybe even a little bit further back, if that feels better for you. Shoulders over the wrist, or again, hands slightly in front of the wrist. And then thumb, pointer finger, middle finger press down and into the floor. Feel your toenails, your big toes, push down into the floor, and then bring the chin into the chest for some spinal movement. Big exhale as you release. Then the belly comes down, gaze comes up, feel that tailbone lift toward the sky. Push into that pointer finger and then pull the chin into the chest again, around the spine. Drop the belly, bring the gaze up, trying to find movement and breath, the connection between the two, and then around the spine, bring chin to chest. Drop the belly down. Come into this neutral spine. So kind of feel a little lift through the low belly and then start to roll through the hips in little baby circles here. Now, depending on where you're at in your fitness journey, you might be just teeny tiny circles, or you might be able to find larger circles through those hips, okay? So finding that, we'll settle into center and then slowly go the other direction. Always trying to find that equanimity from side to side, or just noticing where they're not equal. That's part of the practice too, okay? Settle into center. And from here, push into the hands, bring the chin into the chest, lift up through the low back. So lift, 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 and then gently push the hips back toward the heels. So finding this strong opening through the low back, releasing tension through the low back here. Let's start to open through the front. Walk your hands forward just a little bit. Let the chest or the belly come down. Push down and into the floor, and then bring your gaze up toward the sky. Try to lift the belly away from the floor, maintaining that strength through the center. And then start to walk it back again into your tabletop. Now, if you would like, you can take your blocks here, start to lift yourself up, and then bring your left foot forward, okay? From here, we'll start to stack knee over ankle, bring the chest up and over the ribs, ribs over the top of the pelvis here. From here, we'll just take a little lift, reach toward the sky, and then maybe slide forward into this hip flexor. If this feels like too much for balance, just come a little closer to the floor and then slide forward. Okay, and again, maintain that softness in the face while you're here. From here, start to slide back, tip the toes up, push the heel into the floor and pull that left leg back. Try to keep the hips even here. And again, slide forward. Maybe you bring just a little bit higher in that lift. And again, maybe fingertips rise towards sky. Bring the hands down to the floor. Slide your left foot back. Find center. And then find a way to bring your right foot forward. Settle in where you can. And then take a little slide forward into that low lunge. Again, hands can stay at the blocks. You can bring the fingertips to the hips or let hands rise, lift, okay? Keeping the feet just a little bit on the edges of the mat, keeps a nice, strong, firm base. And then bring the hands down again. From here, maybe walk your right foot forward a tiny bit, kick the toes up, push into the heel, and then slide your right hip back. Slide forward, low lunge, maybe a little more space in that hip flexor this time. Get your legs good and warm before we start to find the muscles in them. And then if you would like, rising up into that low lunge. Hands return to the floor. And from here, bring your right leg back. Start to tuck the toes beneath you. And then from here, lift the hips up. So your down dog can look like this, but start to shift the weight back to your feet, a little bit out of your hands, gaze forward, and walk the feet up between the fingertips. Okay, take a little sway side to side, find evenness in the legs, kind of work out anything, and sometimes your knees crack. Find your center. And then if you're using a block, press into the block. And if you don't have a block or anything like that,
You can bring just your hands to your shins and we'll lift halfway. Strengthen the legs, kind of squeeze the heels together and forward fold again. Inhale, press and lift halfway. And exhale, forward fold. Now, deep bend in the knees, or you can lift the knees up or straighten the legs and then let the crown of the head release down toward the floor. Let the neck find a little bit of room this morning. And then from here, bringing those hands back to the shins or to the block. Feel the knees bend, hands to the thighs, and then start to rise up to standing. Okay. Feeling the length in the body, and then finding this basic posture called Tadasana or mountain pose. In mountain pose, what we're looking for is bringing the ears over the top of the shoulders, shoulders over the ribs, and then the ribs over the top of the pelvis. And then eventually, because some of us live here, is bringing the hips right over the top of the ankles. And then if you can, if your hamstrings are really short or tight, sometimes the feet do this little pigeon toe. Over time, you're looking toward maybe bringing the feet pointing toward the top of your mat or straight forward. Then we'll let the palms just release out to the sides. Shake it out a little bit. Roll the right shoulder back, bring the left shoulder back, and then exhale. Okay. Even if you just practice coming into this standing space a few times a day, this is help building strength in the center and feeling this lift up and in through the spine. Not easy for everyone to do, to find this super strong lifted space, but with time you can work toward it, or you can come up against a wall and then just try to find what that feels like for you, okay? From here, let's find, it's called half sun salute. We kind of did it in the first video, but we'll try it again here. We'll probably do it in every class because it's a beautiful way to connect movement and breath together. So we'll sweep the palms up and overhead. Soft little bend in your knees. So a little bend in your knees as you fold forward and swan dive forward. Bring your hands to your shins. Feel the lift up and in through the chest. And exhale, forward fold. You can either walk your way up to standing or strengthen the legs, soft bend in the knees, bring the hands up and overhead again, rise toward the sky. Bring the thumbs right back into center. Let's do that 3 more times. Inhale, lift and rise. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Create that softness in the knees, strengthen the legs, use your belly button, pull it to the spine, and then bring your hands up and overhead. We'll bring the thumbs right back into heart center. 2 more, lift, reach, and rise. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, onto fingertips or hands to shins. Exhale, fold. Strengthen your legs, strengthen your belly, and then let the hands rise up towards sky. Drop the thumbs into center. 1 more time, here we go. Lift, reach, and rise. Exhale, swan dive forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Sink the hips, strengthen the legs, and then sweep the hands up toward the sky. Bring thumbs right back into heart center. Should start to feel a little blood moving through the system, maybe a little heat moving into the body, and let's start to move just a little bit more into that space. So bringing those heels underneath the hips or right underneath the shoulders, so you have a nice wide base. Kind of take a peek down at your feet, and we'll bring the arms out to the sides. From here, bring the arms up and overhead, and then exhale, bend the knees just a little bit and cross in the front. Inhale, rise. Exhale, bend the knees again. Inhale, bring the hands high. Each time bending the knees just a little bit deeper as you come down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend the knees. Inhale, rise. 1 more time, as deep as you can. We'll hang out here at the bottom, cross, maybe even give ourselves a hug. And then release, lift, and rise. Bring the thumbs right back into the center of the chest. Now, from here, take the hands to the hips, roll those shoulders back, and then bring the fingertips behind you. So some of you might be able to interlace the fingers, and if you can't quite reach, maybe just grabbing the wrists is perfect for you. But I want you to notice where the bones at the top of your shoulders are. Are they leaning forward, or can you maybe just lift them toward the ceiling, or actually roll them toward the back of the room a little bit, feeling your shoulder blades come toward each other. Slide the hands down the back, whether they're interlaced or you're grabbing the wrist, and then feel the chest lift up. Pull your tailbone down toward the floor. So you should feel a lovely opening through the collarbone here as you expand through the chest. If it's a lot in your shoulders, just bend the elbows and bring the shoulder blades together. And release, bring the shoulders forward and shake out the arms. Bring the hands to the hips. And from here, finding that chair again. So finding that deep chair, and deep chair might be just a simple like push the hips back, or you can come in. I'm going to cheat a little bit, bring my foot back here, and this can be your chair. Okay, so this is more stable, and then you can hang out here if this feels better for you. Let the hands come up and overhead, and if you're here and you're like, whoa, feels a little wobbly, thumbs into heart center, sink the hips back again. Now, feeling the strength in the legs here, kind of pull the heels toward each other, so you can see the heels don't actually move, they just kind of pull into center. You'll feel the strength in inner thighs, and then slowly lift to standing. Sink the hips back again. Lift to standing. And then sink the hips back one more time. And this time we'll take a little twist over to the left side. Bring it into center. Straighten the legs. Bring the hips back again, a little squeeze through the heels, and then a twist over to the right side. Back into center. Lift, reach, and rise. Bring hands to hips, shake out the legs if you need to, maybe roll through ankles. From here, let's play with Warrior One. While you're here, I want you to find the center of your mat. We'll do this two different ways, and the first way will be stepping forward into your Warrior One, and the second one will be stepping back, because it's easier for most of us to trust where our feet are going if we're stepping forward than it is to go back, but it's really good for our brains to also step back into places we can't see. So finding your center into that mountain, take your left foot, and whether it's a stutter step forward or just a step forward, about the distance of like what you'd take a step, poof, into it, right? Then take your right foot back just a little bit more and maintain hips staying at the front of the mat. So you're staying right here. Bend this front knee and feel the strength in that front leg, okay? Legs are kind of wide, you can see, not lined up, but wide enough to have a nice base here. And from here, we'll bring the fingertips forward. So reach in and extending toward your camera here. Bring the thumbs back into the chest. And with these strong legs, kind of squeeze the legs in toward each other, like you're closing a pair of scissors, and bring your chest forward. So strength should be happening in the leg, but you might also feel this strength happening in your glute. And then pull back up and into center. Take a breath. Exhale, come forward. Let's add a little bit of that core strength or that twist, and slowly bring your right elbow towards your left knee. Bring it back into center, straighten the legs if you need a rest. Then come forward again, bend the left knee. Come forward further if you'd like, and then maybe you can tap the elbow to the knee, okay? So we'll show those easier variations first, and then where you can work toward. Lift up to center, and then start to bring your feet back to the center of your mat. You might need to shake out that left leg a little bit. And from here, step your right foot forward, give that left foot a little bit of space, and again, nice and wide through the feet, bend in the front knee. You can see it from the side here, bend in the front knee, and then hips are straight forward. So if you're looking forward, shoulders are pointing forward, hips are pointing forward, even as you try to move into that twist. So easiest variation first, work up and into whatever you'd like to later, but bringing the chest forward, and it might be even just a little tiny lean forward, and then bringing that left elbow toward the right knee. Come back into center. One more time. Test the waters and see where that next space is for you. And then bringing that left elbow down toward the right knee. Bring it up and into center. From here, bring the feet back into the middle. Again, kind of test and see where you're at. So when you're coming seated into that chair, most of the time you're not forward into it, shimming around and trying to get into it. Sometimes we have to, at some point we can't see what's happening behind us. So let's play with that a little bit. So we'll take this right leg, and if you need to, or you would like to, you'll take this right leg back and you can look and see where it's going. Otherwise, if you need a wall, press into the wall, hold on to a chair, whatever you need to, and then start to test and see kind of where that is for you. So if you need that stability, do that first. If you have any questions about it, always stability and safety first. Otherwise, hands to hips, and see if you can step your right foot back and come into that same posture, okay? So right foot is back, left knee is forward, bend into the left knee, pull this right hip forward, and let the fingertips rise. Feel the strength in the posture here, okay? And again, if it feels like it's stability-wise, you bring thumbs right back into center, everything closer to the middle for more stability. Bring the chest forward. This time, we'll bring the right hand down, bring the left hand to the left hip, okay? Now, again, this can be your full posture, but maybe you wanna hang out here, see what happens. Strength through the center, pull the belly button in, lift yourself up, hand to hip, back into center. Come forward again, rotate that right shoulder down, and then release down toward the floor. It's gonna work great when you have to pick something up too, right? So slowly hand to hip, and then bring it into center. Keeping your eyes forward, see if you can step your right foot forward. And again, if it feels safer for you, watch where the foot's going. Otherwise, see if you can step it forward and then see where your feet land, okay? Not quite even, pretty close. Find center, feel it out, and then notice what happens when you bring the other foot back. Does it feel the same? Do you have the same amount of trust in your brain for it? Do you need to use a wall, whatever that is? That's part of the whole thing also. So we'll take this left leg, step it back into that warrior one. Maybe heel toe it to the side for more stability. Hips are forward, and then bend into this front leg. Hips and chest reach forward. Thumbs to heart center, you can hang out right here. Find your twist, that can be full posture, or hands lift, soften into it. Feel the strength of the posture here. Feel the strength you need to lift and kind of like zip, like your pant zipper comes all the way up to the bottom of your ribs and kind of zip up and into center. Then bring the thumbs into the middle. Rotate over to the right side, so towards your bent leg. Bring your left hand down if you'd like, maybe right hand to right hip. And if you're feeling extra strong, right hand rises, but hang out here. Then start to bring hand to hip, roll to center, and then come up to standing, okay? Any of those twists, always move into them slowly. So come forward, there's no rush, you got all day, or another 15 minutes, okay? Release down toward the floor. Bring hand to hip, rise to center. From here, you step your back foot toward the top of the mat. Feel this foot press into the mat and then take a little shimmy side to side. Let's come back into that half sun salute to reset. So let fingers rise, reach toward sky, and then exhale, forward fold. Take a lift halfway. Exhale, forward fold. And then sink the hips, let the hands rise and reach toward the sky. Bring thumbs down and into heart center. Bring those hands back into hips. Now, as you're moving and you're finding some of this strength in the legs, reminder that also this strength also has to come from the belly. So let's take feet wide, a little bit wide here. Let's find a little opening through the belly here or through the side body, and let this interlace the fingers in front of you. And you just see if you can flip the palms so they face the front of the room, and then press your fingertips forward. Let the hands rise, reach up toward the ceiling, okay? The shoulders fall down just a little bit. And again, this can be full posture depending on where your shoulders feel, or even just hands to the top of the head if the wrists don't like that. So here, lift, push into your right foot, and we'll lean to the left. Okay. See if you again can find that little zip of the belly up and in toward the center. And then instead of just like pulling yourself up, let's take a 5 count to come up and into center. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Soften a little bit in the center. Take and lift again. Push into your left foot. Reach toward the sky. And then take a lean on over toward the right side. Take a breath. Now take an inhale. And then as you exhale, slow rise. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release the arms. Kind of roll into those circles. Make sure you go both directions. And release. Okay. Now, start to walk the feet back into the middle again. Feeling feet plant down and into the floor. Let the palms face the sky and let the fingertips lift toward the ceiling. Thumbs right back into that heart center. Come back into your breath. Try not to lose a sensation of that. Take another inhale. Exhale. And inhale, let fingertips rise. Swan dive forward. Take your half lift. Exhale, forward fold, and we'll start to move down toward the floor. So your options are, if you've got this block, you can either use it for your, bring one to the side here, maybe in the front, and then slowly start to walk your feet back. Okay, if that feels like it's too much, you can walk 1 foot back, bring the knee to the floor, and then bring your other foot back, okay? From here, push away from the mat or push away from the mat. Pull chin into chest, round the spine. Walk the hands back a little bit. Let the knees come wide if your hips allow for that. Maybe they stay right underneath you. And then bring your forearms down to the floor. Options are, this is your full child's pose, or you begin to walk the hips back toward the heels. And maybe forehead rests on the mat, or you're just hanging out here. It's a lovely way to open up the low back. Okay. Sometimes finding strength in the front fires up things in the backside also. All right. From here, we'll start to press into hands, pull yourself forward, pull the knees beneath you again, and then lift chin into chest. Belly into neutral. Start to slide your left or right leg, makes no difference, but slide one of those legs forward. Let that same hip come down to the floor, and then start to bring the legs around to the front of your mat. Press the heels forward. Okay. Now, if your hips are really tight and this looks like how you're sitting, I invite you to bring your block. Maybe you've got a lovely firm pillow somewhere and you want to bring that other leg under the hips. And this can be your seated space to help you find some space in the hamstring. So knees are bent here in case you can't see it. And you can fold forward here. That'll take a little pressure off the low back, but you can still get the same sensation or essence of the posture that we're looking for. So this is the modification. And if you're like, oh, I'm bendy, then push your heels forward, kind of roll inner thighs towards center, and then bring hands to shins, full posture here, or you can find your forward fold. Yogi's choice, okay? So expanding into that forward fold. Start to walk the hands up to seated. Then we'll pull this right leg in and start to walk that right leg in toward the bottom, okay? So now you're trying to find just a little opening through the hamstring here, maybe some strength in the belly. or a release to the belly, and this knee is bent. Options are knee can be, or leg can be way forward, or you can pull it all the way in toward the bottom, and maybe you slide this right leg forward. Okay, so this is 2 different ways to move into the posture. From here, we'll take your left arm, bring it inside, and then just find another forward fold. And that can look like this. Start to lift and rise. Extend the left leg, shake it out a little bit, take this right leg, and then we'll pull this right leg in, lift and lengthen, and right arm inside, reaching toward the left foot. So right hand reaches toward left foot. I totally just switched sides here, but I think you can figure it out. Okay. Find your breath again. You might notice some compression in the belly, some lengthening in each side of the spine. And then start to bring it back into center. All right. Find yourself in the center of your mat. We'll start to roll back down to the floor. So you have a couple of options. For those of you that can easily just roll down to the floor, feel free to find that. For the rest of us, what we'll do is start to bring your left arm down, bring this left leg down, right leg down. Start to extend this right arm, and then roll down and on to the back. Okay. Find yourself in the center of your mat. Knees are bent here. Oh, we made it, right? Take a soft rock of the legs side to side. And then pull the tailbone down toward the bottom. So another lovely way to kind of get strong legs is you can use a block. Let's just do it, and let's do it the traditional way first. We're gonna tuck the elbows in toward the ribs, tuck the shoulder blades under, pull the tailbone down toward the heels, okay? So you're just trying to get your low back, your whole back except for your neck, flat to the floor. And strength from this posture comes through the legs. So I want you to push your feet into the floor, push your shins forward, and then feel the hips lift, okay? Strength should generate from the quads here, front of the legs. Maybe a little squeeze through the booty. And then lower back to the mat, okay? It does also take some core strength to lift, so push into feet, press the shins forward, lift and rise. And lower. All right. Lift and expand up. So if you're here and you're just like, oh, I'm not sure how to get there, and stay there, you can bring this block underneath the hips and then just push into the feet, and you'll feel the quads activate. And that's a good, beautiful way to start. But if you've got the strength to do it, you can lift and press up. It's also a nice way you'll feel the chest, shoulders kind of release and chest start to open. And slowly lower back down to the mat. Take a rock of the legs side to side. Bring the arms out to the sides, either into these extended arms like the letter T, palms are down, or palms come up, cactus arms. From here, let the knees drift over to the right side, to the left side here. Maybe your leg comes all the way down. Mine's gonna stay here today. However your twist is for you. Another lovely way is just to bring this block or a blanket underneath, and then you kind of get supported. Let your back know that things are going to be a-okay. And slowly start to walk your feet over to the left. Feel your hips come to center. You'll kind of have to rearrange. If you're using the block, bring it over to this right side, and then let knees drift over to the right, or let the knees drift all the way to the floor, or just a little bit. You can straighten the legs a little bit, and that can be your full twist, right? Doesn't have to be a whole bunch to be effective. Just because the person next to you or that you see somewhere else is able to make these big sweeping motions, the same amount of effort might be used for you to take a smaller shape. Doesn't make it any less. You showed up on your mat. That's the most important part. All right, from here, slowly start to walk the feet to the right. You'll feel the knees begin to lift. And then take a little bit of movement side to side. Okay. Feel what happens in the hips. We did this when we first started. Maybe it feels easier now than when we started. Right. And we'll settle into center. Pull the knees or the thighs in toward the chest, take a gentle rock, and we'll lift both legs up toward the sky. So for some of you, that might require that you can just pull the hands behind the legs. And then here, maybe you want to come and bring your feet against the wall. The posture is actually called legs at the wall. And maybe this is your full posture hanging out here. Lovely way to take some of that pressure out of the feet, especially if your feet get sore during the day. A little bit. Sometimes I've heard and I've read a lot that it helps with some of this restless leg stuff just by getting the legs up. Doesn't cure it. Just sometimes makes it feel a little bit easier. And it's also good for your lymphatic system. Okay. From here, we'll take the heels, bring them down toward the bottom. If you're up against the wall, you might need to scoot yourself away, or just you can stay there for the rest of it, right? Take a little rock side to side, and your full posture might be here, or maybe you can bend the knees, reach behind the legs, reach the calves, ankles, or big toes, and find happy baby, right? Just a nice gentle way to release through the hips, low back, right? So many people suffer from low back pain. And we just, sometimes movement helps a lot. Okay, back into center. Let the heels come down toward the bottom and then release the feet down to the floor. Okay, you can remain right here. Come back into your breath, hands to belly and chest, palms out to the side. This can be your full posture. Remember, Shavasana is this resting posture at the end of class. Or you can begin to extend the legs forward. Adjust where you need to. And then take a big exhale and release. If we were in a classroom, we'd be here from anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes. If you're at home and you're watching this recording, then you can just stop for a little bit. And then we'll start to wiggle the toes and fingertips. We'll practice coming back on up and into seated. Take a little stretch here. And then pull the heels in toward the bottom again. Take that left arm or right arm, makes no difference. Your shoulder will let you know. Extend it up and over the head or out to the side, and then roll on over toward that arm. Push this right hand into the mat. Use this left hand to lift you up, and we'll come into this seat. Now, seated can be legs crossed, legs extended. Come up onto a block. I'm going to hang out here today. And then just take a quick moment to settle into your breath again. Take a deep breath. And then let go, exhale. We'll let the hands rise toward the ceiling. And that simple greeting before we leave is that reminder that kindness is a verb, right? Trying to find that kindness and then using it as an actual tool in life. So letting the thumbs come to the space between the eyebrows. And just a reminder that may your thoughts bring you wisdom. And as your thumbs come to your lips, may your words speak truth. And then as thumbs come right back into the center of the body, a reminder that may your actions continually show compassion. So with that, wishing you the most beautiful of days, and we hope to see you back here again. Thank you and very much. Have a great day.